Hi, and welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at Transformers Generations Legacy United Armorizer Shard. Shard here is the second deluxe Armorizer we've gotten, the third Armorizer we've gotten in general. If this video looks a little different, it's because I am trying out a new camera. But Shard is a really neat looking, they're all rock based, but he's almost more crystal, and like the shape of the sculpting to me really implies like crystal growth. He's like a crystalline helicopter, and I think that's a really neat concept, as well as very visually interesting, especially compared to the other two Armorizers. We do get some like robot bits hanging out on the back of the helicopter. We don't have any landing gear, unfortunately. There is a little 3mm peg here that can be used, if you want to put him up on a stand, as well as he's got some ports here and here. You could, mount him that way. In general, the only thing he has is a spinning rotor, and the spinning rotor does work really, really well. He's got two cockpits, which I think is kind of neat. You can kind of see the robot head peeking out behind one. He also has room for blast effects, if you want to stick some blast effects, in here, like he's shooting off some missiles or something, shooting off some lasers. He can do that. He is, I'd say, a pretty standardized deluxe. We've got Shard here next to Magneous. So here's how they look together, and I'd say they look pretty good together. And then here is Bouldercrash, and the three of them here kind of illustrate to me what I don't love about the Armorizers. I think in alt mode they're neat enough, but there isn't a strong visual identity here other than they're kind of rock-like. I guess they're each like their distinct type of rock, but I think it's still a neat concept, just maybe not executed. I'm trying to describe what's not clicking here, and I think it's just the form factor. Like, we've got this guy who's like almost all rock except for his wheels. We've got some metal grating on this guy, which is a little odd, and then we've got like a glass cockpit here. It just I don't know. It's not fully, the concept's not clicking, even though I'd say out of the three, Shard looks the best. As an Armorizer, to get him transformed, we're going to do a little parts forming. We don't have to do a ton, but first we're going to take off each of these propeller pieces. There we go. And there we go. Then we're going to take off these pods, and these are very tightly secured. I don't know if it's, come on. There we go. We can see a little bit of paint wear there. So it is, you can see, it's been cast in this darker plastic, and then there's this lighter green painted on top of it. Those parts should loosen up over time, but it is something to be aware of. Next, we can come in and we're going to split his bottom half, swinging it down, opening up the legs, bringing them around. Same thing on this side. Then up top, we're just going to come in and we're going to pull out the arms. If we can get a good... I want to there we go. Rotate them out to the side on both ends, like so. That lets us get this cockpit down and out of the way a little bit. And then we can fold up. We're going to accordion up the, let's get that arm out of the way, the waist here. Getting his chest out, and there is a tab right here and a place for it to tab in right here. We can come in, there's a tab right here, locking up his chest pretty tightly, just getting his tail out of the way, and then we can rotate things around here. And yeah, this is Shard in his robot mode without any of his pieces on. We can, of course, take these guns. They do have ports where they can plug in on his arms, so he can have arm blasters, which I do dig. And then these pieces, you can plug him back in kind of down and diagonally, giving him kind of the blackout blade cape, which I do really like that kind of look. And yeah, I mean, Shard is a pretty good looking Transformer here. I really like that head sculpt. I think it's doing a lot. It's giving me a little bit of Kamen Rider vibes. It just looks angular and menacing, and I dig it. The colors, again, we saw the same colors before, but they're broken up by this metal. So in Shard's case, it does feel more like, instead of a robot made out of rocks, he's a metal robot hidden by rocks. But I think for him, that works pretty well. 360 on the arm, 360, no like tilt or anything on the head. We can go out that far. We can twist at the bicep. We do get a 90-degree bend here. We do, oh, and as an Armorizer, he will pop apart. We do get waist or wrist swivel there. We do also get waist swivel here, although it is very tight. Knees can come off, again, Armorizer fun. He can split that far. He can kick up that high, kick back, and then stuff starts getting in the way, but he can kick back that far. Thigh swivel, or I guess it's really knee swivel. Slightly more than 90-degree knee bend. And then we do have ankle tilt sideways, as well as rotation back and forward. So pretty good articulation for this guy. You will note that like this piece doesn't really, I was hoping this would detach. It feels like such a big clunky piece for an Armorizer. This coming off, turning into maybe a lance or some sort of weapon would be nice. He can take off these swords. And unfortunately, this is the biggest thing. This is my biggest complaint about this toy. If you notice, he holds his swords in a really funny way. He holds them like this. This isn't bad. It's kind of like weird Wolverine claws, but he cannot, and I don't know why this is the case. This seems like such a miss for me. Get these off here. He can't hold his swords normally. There's a tab in the way here. I don't know what this tab does. I don't know why it's here, other than to not allow him to hold his sword like this. It does allow him to, I guess, hold his sword in his gun pod, like so. If you want him to do that, I guess he kind of comes with his own blast effect that way. But if that was the case, I think I wish the swords were transparent plastic, so they'd be like a proper blast effect. As is, he just holds his swords in a really weird way. It's truly bizarre, that tab. It doesn't even, I don't think the tab has any function, because like you could stick the sword in there without the tab just fine. You can get him, you know, armed up like so in all his glory, shooting and stabbing. And I do like this look. I think it's unique, but it should be an option. I shouldn't have to hold the swords this way. That's really unfortunate. And here is Shard with the two other Armorizers so far. And again, like there's some cool looking rock creatures, but I think without like fiction involving them, they're gonna get kind of forgotten about as this minor, like, oh, remember that one time when Transformers referenced, when Transformers referenced Rocklords? Like it feels like that's the direction this line is going. Especially, we're getting a remold of him. I don't know if we're getting a fourth unique mold. The concept just seems to be kind of getting forgotten mid-line. But out of the three of them, if you're gonna like pick one Armorizer, I think it's Shard, just because of how cool he looks. We don't get a lot of helicopters. He just looks the most interesting, the most visually distinct. Although his inclusion in the set now, I feel like, helps set apart Magneous and Bouldercrash a lot. I think with him there, now the other two kind of feel like they have their own unique identities instead of like kind of looking similar rock monsters. But of course, that's not all Shard does. As an Armorizer, he theoretically comes apart. In this case, you can take his shins off. You can take his cannons off. You can split out his arms and legs. And then you've got this massive chunk of robot. The same thing, right? It's my same complaint with Magneous. Like, this is not helpful. If I could take off this chest piece and put it on someone, that would be cool. If I can take off this tail piece and use it as a weapon, that would be cool. If I could take this piece and use it as a shield, that would be cool. But like, these like kind of work. I don't know. Let's get Chase in here. So okay. So what can we do with Chase? We can give him some leg armor. Neat. We can give him like an extendable. He can use a sword from his light. Oh no, he can't because there's a tab in the way. Oh boy, that's frustrating. He can take this piece and it can become a cannon on his shoulder. Like so. We can take this piece and I don't know, put it there. Like, these are not hitting the same way that the weaponizers and then the Junkions and then the fossilizers and the what are the base ones? I forget what they're called. But all those other ones, I felt like they've did this gimmick a lot better. This just isn't really doing it for me. But I don't think this is why you get this toy. I don't think you get him for the sum of his parts. He's greater than that. I think as a unique Transformer, Shard is a cool looking crystal robot guy. And I think that is neat. And he turns into a helicopter. So I think if we're talking about, you know, paying $25 for this guy, I don't think that's a bad deal. I mean, it's frustrating that Transformers are getting as expensive as they are, but in the context of what the market's doing, I don't think this is a bad way to spend that $25. I think it's a fun toy. If you were like, I want to get one single Armorizer to represent the whole line, I think this is the one you get. If you're trying to get Armorizers to build stuff out, to do the custom build and play, I just don't think the Armorizer line offers enough options to do that, unfortunately. Shard is unique, but doesn't really expand on that concept very well. So I don't know I'd recommend in that regard, but just as like a regular Transformer without the dumb Armorizer gimmick, I think he's pretty solid. That is it for today's review. I'm currently in Peru, so if you came to check out this video to watch the video or to see the winner of Chromia right here, that is coming out May 18th, so 2 more weeks. Until then, I'll catch you all on the next one, which will not be Gears, because despite having these 2 of Wave 2, I don't have Gears in hand yet. So the next video will be something different. Catch you all later. Bye.